Yeah, good afternoon all. This is Edwin. I would like to introduce myself here as a Bulwark. We as a value-added distribution in the region for Help System Automate. Today we would like to introduce Automate for IT automation process and Help System. Mr. Keith will be giving you the brief on this process. Over to you, Keith.
Thank you very much, Edwin. Okay, so today I want to go through how we can boost your IT department with RPA from our Automate solution. My name's Keith Fuller. I've been with the company for just over 13 years at Helpsystems, and prior to that I was a customer. I've been working with a wide range of products, but over the last 3 to 4 years I've been working with the Automate solutions. The agenda today is kind of what challenges IT departments are facing, the common use cases for RPA and IT, why automate for IT departments, so what can we do with that process. We're going to then have a live Automate demo just to show you the product in action, and then we got a Q&A session. So please, if you have any questions during this process, if you can put them in the chat window, and we will cover those at the end of the presentation. So challenges facing IT departments. So a rising number of projects are coming in for the IT departments, and that includes a lot of tasks. They can kind of drain resources, stopping you doing other effective things. So what we want to do is take away that repetitive, mundane tasks and kind of add those into the Automate solution, which will then free you up to do lots more kind of interesting or more critical and beneficial stuff for your company. We also know that there's fewer resources to handle business and IT issues. So as the demand gets bigger, sometimes the team gets smaller. So we're kind of trying to do more with less, and with Automate, we can help you achieve that. There's less time available for innovation, so somebody will always want something now. So you don't always get the time to design it. Hopefully using the automation to get those repetitive tasks out of the way, then that will free you up to kind of build that innovation into your IT structure. And IT is often overlooked in favor of business needs, but I see it as a critical part of the company. It's like the engine in the car. The car will go nowhere without that engine. So it's a needed part of the business, but can always be overlooked. So what are the benefits of automation? So we can eliminate manual errors and mundane operational tasks. So by that, we're saying humans will always make errors. It's in our nature. So we can hopefully eliminate those errors by doing this stuff day in, day out on robots. And that allows us to then kind of do the processing. We're going to increase the productivity back and gain effectiveness. So the bots will work 24/7, 365 days a year. They don't go sick. They don't take a holiday. So they can work continuously. And if you just need more resources, then you can just buy additional agents and quickly add those into the product and get them working. They don't need to be trained. They can just carry on with the processes. We can integrate with applications for better quality and data access processes. So what we're meaning with this is we can kind of have one central pane of glass for your automation. We can then hook into other applications, bring that information in, pass it out to other applications. So we're kind of the middleman doing the processing for you. Doing all of this, we can help you with the cost savings. So we can bring that cost down. You don't need to keep hiring people. you've got the bots that work 24/7, 365 days a year. So they're always available. And as I say, just adding a new bot, you don't need to train it. It can go straight in and be up to speed instantly. And it also enables your workforce to do value-centric rather than task-centric applications and tasks. So let's now have a look at common uses for RPA in IT. So we've got IT policy and training. So this is kind of like tracking if a employee does certain things, have they kind of acknowledged the policies. We can do all of that via our kind of online emailing functions. We can do help and service desk management, so resetting passwords, we can do that automatically, which takes away a large portion of user tickets that get raised. We can automatically raise help desks if something goes wrong and assign them to the correct people straight away so they're not sitting in the queue. We can close tickets, we can email reports of what tickets are outstanding, how long they've been there, all of those kind of processes. So that kind of covers the reporting side. We can also do file management, so FTP, SFTP, MFT. We can do file movements across networks, across the local machine, and kind of we can trigger off of files as well. Event management, so if something happens on the machine, we can react instantly to that happening, be it that you're being alerted via the event viewer, via a service not running anymore, having gone into a stop state, CPU or memory being at a critical level, or even disk space kind of approaching the full limit. We can take all of that into account and alert people rather than you having to deal with the consequences afterwards. We can also talk to a number of databases, and that allows you to get data, verify data, and then push data back in. We can help you with application testing. So if you've got websites that you need to check are up, we can go through that process every day, every hour, just to make sure that those machines are available and they're working as we would expect. And we can also test applications which allow you to kind of test something before you put it live. In there, even though we're doing automation, we do have some aspect of server monitoring and remediation. So we have other products out within the Helpsystems suite, which can do network security, monitor for traffic, and then they can feed into Automate. Automate can then take the remedial action and then answer the question. If we can't fix it, then we can raise that service desk ticket automatically and direct it to the correct person. We can also do monitoring for security. So the product itself is very secure. We having fully encrypted passwords within the product. We can kind of check if there's any security breaches that you may need to check. And we also have other software that does that in a more dedicated way. And user management and provisioning. So this is if you have a high turnaround of users, then we can kind of help your HR departments to streamline that process and raise tickets to request hardware, add the users into the Active Directory, add their profiles onto specific systems. All of that can be automated. So freeing you up to do more interesting stuff. So let's just take a look at a success story. So this is WPI, an American company. The team at World Precision Instruments is responsible for producing 25 different accounting production and manufacturing resource planning reports at the close of business. So you can imagine that's quite a lot of reports to kind of process. Plus more than 75 reports at the end of the month. So again, that's almost tripling the number of reports that we need to get out on a specific month. So instead of requiring employees to manually trigger and generate reports on a nightly basis, they turn to automate. And with the drag and drop interface that we use, that saves tens of hundreds of dollars in coding, and automate saves the day and the night. So one of the comments was, I'm not a programmer, but with automate, I don't need to be. I taught myself to use program, and there is almost no learning curve. So that came from the customer itself. So that's one of our success stories. So why automate for IT departments? So what we want to do is accelerate the automation with automate. We have a desktop recorder. We can have test and development environments, which you can then move the processes into a live function when needed. We've got a workflow engine that allows you to add lots of tasks together, which I'll show you in the demo in a second. We have exposed APIs, so we can run APIs to get information about the system, and we can also connect to all other machines that support APIs. We've just introduced a machine learning framework, so that's going to only get better as we go along. So that's the developing side. At the managed side, we can do role-based security, use an account group, centralized repository. So our tasks can be used in multiple workflows, which means if you have to change a task, then that task will automatically be updated in all of the workflows. We can hook into Active Directory, or we can run outside of Active Directory. We have auditing and reporting, so if anyone does anything on the product, it is always logged. So you can quite quickly see what's happening, what happened, what occurred, what was the result. And we've got some secure credentials vault, which is being added into the product in the next release. This allows you to hook into things like CyberArk to use a password vault and then grab the passwords down into the product. Then we come to the operate level. So tier 1 ready, we do load distribution, we've got failover management, remote administration, so we can quickly jump onto other machines, run the processes, and come back to the main host. We also support HR and DR environments, and we have a revision management. So if anyone makes a change that doesn't work, we can back that change out very quickly and then go back to the original version. So automate by Helpsystems. We got kind of 4 different areas of automation. So we've got UI automation and the recorder. So this is powerful, durable, and infused with business logic. The recorder takes away that kind of complex screen and just places you with a window, allowing end users to be able to set up their automation just by doing what they do on a daily basis, other than clicking on the recorder, and we can test that process as it's working. We can then go into the kind of back end of automation, which is the API integration. So we support HTTP, SOAP requests, OAuth 2, the export can be in a number of formats, including XML and JSON. Native actions that we support, email, Excel, even open document spreadsheets, all kinds of databases, Active Directory, FTP, OCR, PDF reading, terminal emulation, things like SharePoint, CRM, all of those kinds of things we can work with. And as I say, we've introduced machine learning, and we've also got a solution that does intelligent document processing. So that basically means it's going to learn where all the information on the forms is and kind of adjust. So the more documents it processes, the more accurate that process gets. Some resources we've got out there for you to kind of help you. We have a bot store, which I'll show you as part of the demo. This gives you access to, I think the current thing is about 230 pre-made bots that cover a wide range of kind of processes. These can be JD Edwards, Salesforce, ServiceNow, all kinds of things, even Word, Excel, Actions. They can be used either out of the box and you just need to make a few changes, or you can just take ideas from those processes and use them in your other tasks. We also have an Automate Academy, so this gives you the ability to go through some basic learning processes. And it's short videos just to get you used to the product. So we always recommend this if you kind of take the product on. We recommend you doing the academy. It's self-service learning, so you can kind of do it at your own speed. We also have a lot of videos that we can share with you. And then you can also do certification. So if you wanted to become an Automate RPA specialist, then you can take an exam. And as long as you pass 80% of that, then you will become that certified specialist. We also have an automation community out there. So this is including RPA knowledge, peer-to-peer support. So we're kind of opening up the product so you can talk to other customers rather than just having to come to us ourselves. Because the customers are the one that uses the product. They all come up with different ideas. So we're open for those ideas to be shared. But you can have a look at upcoming webinars, what's coming into the product in the future, all of those kinds of things. And you can also ask questions in there, and support will get back to you, or another customer will come back to you. And we also offer professional services. So professional services allow you to build a solid foundation. So you can then train somebody else as well, allowing you to give that knowledge transfer. But we can also, if you're struggling with a task or you don't have the kind of bandwidth to get something created, we can kind of help you with that and we kind of calculate how long that's going to take, and we'll advise you on that process. So how do we achieve end-to-end automation? So as you will probably know, there's two real types of automation. So you've got back-end automation, which is unattended processes. And these can leverage APIs, kind of FTP processes. They're all behind the scenes. We don't need to see them. Things like PowerShell, as say APIs, all that kind of thing. Then we have come to the other end, which is front-end automation. This is kind of replicating what a user would do on a day-to-day basis. So this is like moving the mouse around, clicking on buttons, downloading files, all of that kind of stuff. So also leveraging GUIs. If you need to open up an application to click, then we can do that within the process as well. We've then, just to show you the Automate architecture component. So we have a main server, which runs on an SQL database. This kind of goes through the process. Then we have bots. So these are kind of what we call the workforce. So these will run the tasks and then report back to the main server. And then you don't need to connect to the main server every time you need to do changes. You can use the development studio, which allows you then to make changes on your local machine, which are fed directly up to the server. So that allows you to monitor the product, make changes to the product from there. And you can have multiple licenses of this studio. So the base license comes with 2, but you can upgrade those to as many as you need. Just to give you a quick sample of what actions our RPA solution has, we've got things like Active Directory, Amazon, Azure storage, compression, cryptography, databases, environment variables, exchange file systems, inputs, interactivity, JSON, machine learning, MSMQ, PowerShell, registry entries, SharePoint services, all kinds of things that we can help you with. Okay, so I'm now going to go into a quick demo just to show you the product in action. So So let me just bring my screen across. Okay, so hopefully now you can see what we call our workflow designer. So this is a simple process we created. So that runs every day at 3 p.m. and it's doing a daily FTP process. So at 3 p.m. this will trigger, and then what it will do is it will do an FTP download to get some files. It will then go down here to create new from an existing Excel sheet. If that's successful, it will go down here, encrypt that spreadsheet, and upload it to an FTP server. If that's successful, it will then go down and email the FTP report. If any of these steps are unsuccessful, then we're using this ServiceNow API to create an incident, which then alerts people to what the problem is. So this process runs, but if I wanted to change this, then I could quite happily add a different kind of trigger, if you like. If I wanted to trigger from a database, I just put that simply in there, click on there, then double click on this process to change what I need to the database. You've got different prerequisites. So if someone inserts something into a table, then we can trigger off of that. If somebody deletes something, we can do that as well. So lots of different connections. Let me just delete this a second. We can also react off of an email. So if an email comes in, then you just configure your email action. So as you can see, it's drag and drop. You just configure. We even support AWS Online, which is 365. And that uses the tenant ID, client ID, and client secret, which is Microsoft's recommended way of accessing emails at the moment. And then we can come down and filter. So we can add a filter in, and we can say specific subject from a specific person, if it has an attachment name, all kinds of things which help us pick up the correct email. So that's just a kind of simple process. So let me just take you into this FTP task just to show you the task builder, which is our third module. So this is the task builder. I always like to say this is where the magic happens. We can actually get rid of that section. So what we've got here is these are the steps that each of the task will run. So here you can see it's creating some variables. Here I'm logging on to an FTP server. I'm then sending a long list of files that FTP server has. I then loop through this data set, which I've created up here. And then if the file size equals a maximum file size, then I download that file and overwrite it in the local location. Otherwise, I then log off and I can compress those files. And that's the kind of process completed. That's just something I've been adding onto it. So that's a very simple process, allowing us to download the reports. And then we've got the Excel actions here. So this allows you to, again, we're creating the variables to store the information. We format the date to make sure the date's correct. We then create a variable for the output file. We then create a new Excel book. We open up an Excel workbook, get the text contained in there. We then loop through the data set and we write this information back out to another spreadsheet. And then once we're finished, we close both of those spreadsheets and then carry on to the next process. Now, I can show you this process running from here. Unfortunately, I think it will stop on this step because I don't have the current processes on my machine. Let me just run it from here. If it doesn't work, it will hopefully show you a failure. You can see here, we've got the blue arrow running. You won't normally see this, but this is how we test the product. Normally, you don't need to have the product open for things to run. So this is just going down and hopefully downloading some files. May take a little while. Okay, that's completed. So we now go to the Excel process. And when tasks run, you see this blue window come up here. Okay, so that's failed. So you can see we've gone straight up to here. And again, this will fail because I don't have the service 1 API connected at the moment. But you can see how that process works. If it was kind of broken at this end, then it would go straight across to that path. Okay. Another process I can show you very quickly is how we work with APIs. So here you can see I've created a var response so I can get the response from the customer or from the API. I'm then going to go to this website, which is OData, and I'm going to kind of grab some information about this user here. And then I'm going to decode that JSON file and then display that. So if I just click on run here, this process will run through. Press the information and it goes through. And then it's displayed that information in a dialog box, but this could be put into emails, into a database, into however you need to get that information out. And just to show you the information we bring back, so the response. So if I right click and inspect that, you'll see the response that I've got there, which shows you the kind of line I've got back from the browser. So you can see all the information there. It's got the first name Russell, last name Wyatt. It's got his email address. So it's kind of like a JSON file that we're then decoding into the right information. Just minimize that. And then if I look at this one, the var response, this is the kind of raw data as we say we got from the machine. There's lots of information there as well. And then the object response, you can see we've kind of separated it into a more readable fashion that we can then select to output. Okay. And then let me just show you very quickly. I know we're running short on time at the moment. So if I wanted to build a generic process, I can just drag that across here, build the connection, and all we need here is the ODBC drivers for that connection, and then we can connect to the database. If I wanted to do a file system, I can do lots of things like here, move, copy, delete, rename, get information about files, touch the file, empty the recycle bin, read from a file, write to a file, take a CSV and put it into a data set. And we can take a data set and put it into a CSV file. We can create folders. We can even synchronize folders. So very quickly, that's what we can do there. And last but not least, I'm just going to show you the desktop recorder. So if I click on new recorder, you see it gets rid of that screen. And all we get is this recorder window here. Okay, let me just get this for now. So what we can now do is if I want to go to a website, I can click here. If I want to go to an application, I go down to run application. So I'm just going to click on the web browser at the moment. Okay. Oh, wait a sec. If I just do that website, if I click on save and open, you see it will open that website for me. Okay, so it's trying to load that website up at the moment. Apologies, my machine is running a bit slow at the moment. There we go. Here comes the website. So it comes up with here. Now, if I want to then do something else here. Just waiting for it to fully load up. When it fully loads, this will go kind of to say it's completed. There we go. So that's successful. And then all I need to do is just click on this button again. And then what you'll see in here in a second is that these will start to change color, and you'll get you should get a bar around them. Say my machine is running a little bit slow at the moment. What happens when I go live? Try that again. Web browser. Okay, for some reason it's not playing nicely with me at the moment, so I'll have to kind of work on that for you. But what would happen? Oh, there we go. It's just started doing it now. Well, it did for a short time. You'll see kind of boxes come here, and then you can select what you want to do with those boxes. Just try one more time very quickly. Say we do have a video showing this process working properly. It's definitely not happy with me at the moment. I do apologize for that. Let me get rid of that. So, and once you've done that, you can then just save and close, and it will bring that task and information, anything it creates, into here. Now, what we can do with this, and this is where we differ from a lot of our competitors, we've got the edit option here, so we don't have to recreate that like a macro. We can also add bits into here and put a kind of shell script in there, PowerShell script. We can add any of these actions into there, and we can either run it from the recorder or we can run it from this process. So it's very good for kind of end-to-end users being able to automate the product. Last but not least, I'm just going to quickly, actually I don't have them on this machine. Let's see if I got them on my machine. There we go. Yeah. So as I said, I'll show you the bot store. So it's simply botstore.helpsystems.com, and we have a lot of bots in here. 99% of them are free, but we do have some premium offerings which are service solution bots, which kind of allow you to go from end-to-end processing. But we've got things like Active Directory, Adobe Sign, Automate, Blend, Box, DocuSign, eCompass, Freshdesk, Gmail, Go Anywhere, Google, working with the IBM I, Jira Cloud, LinkedIn, Dynamics, Excel, Mortgage Candice, PowerShell, Robot, Salesforce, ServiceNow, Smartsheet, lots of information there. And you can also submit your own bots, or you can request a bot here. So if there's something you don't see on the site, you can put a request into us and we will work with yourselves to kind of come up with a bot to help you. The insiders section is a customer-based focus area that allows you to go in and have a look at lots of different content. You can also win get points, and then you can use those to counter pay for services and all of those kind of processes as well. And then just to show you an API that we support, this is our own inbuilt API. So it allows you to get information on tasks, run tasks, kind of do all of those process updates, update the task ID, workflows, all of that stuff. You can also get metrics from like completed lists, executions, management, all of those things. So you don't even have to go into the product. You can get that information automatically emailed to you. Okay, so hopefully you found that session helpful. Sorry about the processes that didn't work. We can send you a link for videos to show you those processes working if you would like. Okay, I'm going to pass it back to Edwin, but thank you very much for your time today. Oh, we actually do have a question.
Yes, we do have a question out here, which is like he would like to know when do we have a support extended to server Windows 22. So if you could just answer that.
Yeah, at the moment we are currently working on Windows Server 2019. We haven't tested Windows Server 22, but we don't foresee any problems with that. Most of the operating systems are staying the same, but we are a Microsoft partner, so we will get that version and we will test it. So I think that will come into the product hopefully at the end of the year, but we should work with the product without any problems.
So Abhishek tells us that there are some problems pursuing the designing of process on OS 22.
Okay, if you can reach out to the support, which is support.automate@helpsystems.com, one of our engineers will quite happily work with you on that process. Thank you very much for the questions.
So heartfelt thanks to Keith, the entire team, and the Bulwark team as well, Edwin, and to all the partners and the customers who were there for the session today. My heartfelt thanks once again to all for attending the session. And please do be in touch with us in order to follow up on your requirements as such. Cheers. Bye-bye. Bye.
Okay, bye.